Hi, welcome to this video and welcome to my channel. I'm the Drawing Penguin. I am an illustrator and concept artist in traditional media. And today we're going to run through a drawing I did in my sketchbook the other day. Now, this particular day I was not feeling inspired. So for once I actually used a reference picture that I will link to in the description here. So without further ado, let's set up this drawing. Little frame, vanishing points, two of them. Here we go. So here we are. We've set up the vanishing points and we've set up the back wall, the seating, the floor, and the tools we'll be seeing. Now, on the subject of inspiration, it's not easy to come with a drawing on a daily basis and do something nice, original, fresh, and inspired. Yeah, so for once, I just pulled a picture and I'm going to stay very close to the reference on this one. I thought the lighting was really interesting and a good thing to practice. Then it was just about figuring out how to make this my own, how to make it a little sci-fi-ish, and we're going to use a couple of very simple tricks. This is a very simple drawing in the end. You'll see once we establish it a bit better. So let's go through a few things again. A little bit of time lapse and we'll come back here. So here on the left side, there'll be a couch. I wanted to make it look vintage, to stick to my retrofuturism style. But it's going to be a very basic couch. We're going to set it up here on the left side. We're going to divide it in 4 equal parts in the perspective. And we'll put a hint of texture on it just to make it not completely flat and boring. So here we go. We have our couch in place. Couch or seats, or yeah, they're not chairs. I guess they're seats. I imagine this to be some kind of a waiting room. There'll be a door in front of those seats, probably some office of some kind. So I'm thinking administration office at this point, and that made me think about how I could make the place a little more interesting. And I decided then to put right on top of the couch here some kind of poster inspired by some old Soviet propaganda posters. So we're just gonna figure out where we're gonna place it, which is just about there. And then I will again pull out some references and look at old-fashioned posters of propaganda of the 60s and 70s, the space race era. And we're gonna make it very simple. Now you can see the little box here on the left. I was considering putting a plant or something in this corner. I think in terms of composition it would have been a good idea, but I later struggled with how the light would fall on it in the shadow area, so I'm gonna end up removing it completely, and I think in the end it still sort of works. So at this stage, yeah, we're just gonna slowly figure out what will be on the poster, I think. So let's do a little more time lapse again and come back once something interesting happens. All right, for this poster, you'll see it better once it's inked. I'm just going to do 4 very stylized workers, human characters, a big sun or planet in the background, and a simple 60s style rocket ship that I'm drawing right there. And that'll be it for this poster. Like, super simple. I think it fits as well with the brutalism architecture of the place, to try and have really a simple layout, simple design, simple drawings in this sketch. Okay, time to get the ink in place. I'm still using my favorite pen of all time, the Pilot G-Tech C4 zero point 0.4. And we're just going to do some simple outlines right now. I haven't decided yet at this point in the process what I'll be putting outside this window to make it look interesting. But then I had a brainwave, and you'll see what we do with this. So let's throw some ink in here, make it pop a little, and we'll come back in a sec. Now you have a good view of the poster, and like I said, it's super 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 simple. I'm not gonna add anything to this. The drawing is small. There's not a lot of room for detail, so we'll keep it like that. To go with a 60s 70s style, I thought it would be nice to have this sort of I don't know how they call, like buttons on the couch. I don't know the English term for that. Like a Chesterfield couch. Just give it a bit more texture. Here I'm trying to find the separation between what will be in the light and the dark. It's pretty clear on the reference picture, so there's not a lot of guesswork involved in this one. I just want to make sure, because my couch is not exactly the same size or proportions, that there's enough light on the back wall here, enough in the front, so that I can put the shadows more or less where they belong. And let's go through a bit more time lapse and see what we do after this. Alright, we got a bit of a frame and we got rid of the pencil lines in here. Time to throw an outline on anything that has basically space behind it. Not feeling brave enough for my brush pen today, so I'm using a Papermate Flare medium again. I think that's a nice pen for this sort of work. I've ordered some thinner ones. I'm looking forward to trying them. See what we can do with those. So we're gonna do the couch, and soon enough we'll be tackling the window, which is gonna need a bit of depth and well, something behind it. So let's move along, see what comes up. Okay, we have our window in place now, and I want to make it pretty thick because, again, you know, if it happens in space or on a foreign planet or whether you imagine it's a thick thing to protect you from the atmosphere or difference of pressure or whatever. So I'm going over the lines here with my Copic pen to figure out where the light and shadow demarcation will be. And we're going to coat this entire drawing in a shade of orange before going pretty dark for the shadow areas. So here comes the super boring part. Let's fill this and see what we do after. Little note, every time you see me doing something like this where I leave a large area uncolored, it's because I'm thinking. I'm not committed yet to what I'm gonna do. I'm not sure, so I'd rather wait and think than do something I can't get out of. Turns out I will fill this. Here we go, in orange, and use that darker shade of red that I've just pulled for the rest of the image. The idea of using the red over the orange in the darker parts is always to keep some kind of coherence between the light and shadow areas. I think that if you just use the red for the dark, it looks a bit harsh. You lose um, the impression that everything is one unit. Don't know if that's super clear, but hopefully you see what I mean. So let's keep going with that, and yeah, pull that red out. Let's go. Okay, as we do the drop shadows here, normally I always say use a really darker color or tone than the rest of the picture, but in this one I'm actually going to stick to this red, just possibly put a couple more layers, um, and I think it works. I really like the orange red tonality of this drawing, and I didn't want to break this by using a gray or possibly a blue. I thought I thought this works. Plus, in the reference picture, it's very much the case as well that this is has a very limited range in terms of colors. So let's go. We're going to do this bit. It's pretty much eyeball, but it kind of works. And we'll just throw a couple layers to darken it a bit. Here we're doing all the bits that are away from the light, and we'll come back with that red again later to hint a bit of volume on the cushions of the chairs. For the outside, I'm gonna keep it super simple, and I'm just gonna do a little gradient using a hint of that yellow one and some orange, trying to make it darker at the bottom of the drawing and lighter as we go up. Super simple, just trying not to have a solid color to make it a bit more fresh. Let's go through this as well. Right, we've put so much marker on this that it's become quite muddy, so it's time to go over some line work again with the pilot pen, as well as with the paper mate in a moment. So we're just redoing the lines, make sure they pop, make sure they're clearly visible. There we go. And yeah, I think it's important to go over again because it gets muddy pretty quick, especially when you use dark tones like this brownish red here. Yeah, so let's go over everything and come back in a sec. Okay, time to think about what's out there. I could have left it like this, but it felt a little hollow, not super exciting. So the brave wave, let's say it again, the brain wave hit, and let's make it Mars. You know, red planet. I've got some red Soviet poster in the background, so yeah, let's do this. Practicing rocks is really useful when you want to do sceneries and background, especially sci-fi stuff with desolate planets and the likes. Super easy shapes, but you can't practice them too much. I'm gonna use a slightly thicker line on the left side of the mountains here, because the light is coming from the right hand side, so that helps give a little contrast to them. We're not going to go overboard. A hint of texture, just make it rocky. We just have to do the impression of a mountain. We don't have to go deep in details. To help give it volume, I'm going to use the same red as I used the rest of the drawing to cover just the left edge of the mounds and rocks and things in the window. No more than this. We're going to need some highlights now, and I'm going to use this pen that I've bought recently. Sorry, pencil. A white pencil. What's the brand? Let me see. It's a Stabilo, and it's called Carbotello, and in titanium white, and it's quite an interesting thing to use. It's very, very chalky in nature, and you can smudge it a bit with your finger if you're too heavy in some places. I'm not sure how it lasts on the long term on the paper, but to use and photograph, it works beautifully. So here we go, a little bit inside the window where the different panes of glass are joined to the frame, a little bit on the floor, and a tiny bit on the cushions, and that'll be about it. So let's hurry through this. Finally, for this drawing, I wanted to replicate, but something I haven't done in a long time, that I used to do a lot when I did architecture drawings. I wanted to replicate a concrete texture. So once I'm done doing those thick lines here, I'll take out the pilot pen and do some very, very thin, very, very light lines all over the walls. It doesn't show super well on camera, I'm afraid. It's more obvious on the pictures and way more obvious when you see the drawing in real life. But it's a long and tedious process, but if you are patient with it and you go really light, you can end up doing some really cool concrete texture with this simple technique. So let's go really fast through this, and then we'll be pretty much done with this drawing. So there you go. This drawing is pretty much done now. Um, yeah, no inspiration today, but I found something interesting to draw anyway. I think it's not easy when you try to come up with something fresh every day, and it's healthy also sometimes to just look at something and draw that. Yeah, drawing somebody else's idea is always better than not drawing. So yeah, I'm not too dissatisfied with this one. Anyway, thank you so much all for dropping by my little channel. Give a like and a subscribe if you haven't. It really, really helps me. I'm glad we're almost 500 now on this tiny YouTube channel. If you have any questions, please hit the comment section. This video was a little rushed because I had very little time to put it together, but the next one will be a two-parter over a 4-hour drawing that was much more on the technical side, so that should be exciting and hopefully coming next week. Thank you again for your support. Take care and have a great one. Bye bye.